All right, welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Oh, absolutely. Always ready to dive in.
Today, we're going down a rabbit hole, uh, courtesy of Secure
To
Team.
secure team. Okay.
They uh, they put out this video titled "Alien Invasion by 2017: Giant UFO on Mars, Sun Diving Comets, and More." 8816.mp3.
Wow, that's a mouthful. 2017, huh? So a little bit dated.
Well, yeah, we'll see how that prediction panned out.
Right, right.
So strap in because we're talking about possible UFOs on Mars, psychic predictions, World War III, Edward Snowden popping up, comets kamikazing into the sun.
Wow, that's quite the mix.
It is. It is. We've also got NASA's mission to send a spacecraft into the sun, and to top it all off, some weird booms in California. So what do you say? You ready to jump in?
Let's do it. It sounds like a wild ride.
Okay, so let's start with Mars. Secure Team presents this image, supposedly from the Mars rover, and they claim it shows a large triangular craft in the Martian sky. What do you think?
Well, I'd need to see the image, of course. But remember, a lot of these images go through heavy processing, so what might look like a spaceship could just be, a weird rock formation or distortion.
Yeah, they do mention that they enhanced the image to make it clearer.
Right, and that's where things get tricky. Image enhancement can be helpful, but it can also create illusions. It's important to be cautious when interpreting those kinds of images.
Makes sense. And Secure Team doesn't just stop at the image. They go on to suggest that humans might already be on Mars.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we're going full conspiracy theory now.
Yeah, they kind of throw that in there. It definitely adds to the intrigue, but without any concrete evidence, it's just speculation, really.
Right, and it reminds me of that whole face on Mars thing back in the 70s. Remember that? People saw a face in a blurry image, and everyone went crazy with theories about ancient Martian
Oh,
civilizations.
yeah, I remember that. Turned out to be just a mesa, right?
Exactly, just a natural formation. It just goes to show how our brains can fill in the blanks when we're looking for something.
Speaking of filling in the blanks, let's move on to those psychic predictions. We got this YouTuber, T. Chase, who claims aliens will invade in 2017 World War III, thanks to Putin, and then the second coming of Christ will lead an alien army to defeat Putin,
Right.
only to then take over Earth themselves, because humans are just too warlike, apparently.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. Aliens, World War III, the second coming of Christ, and it all happens in 2017.
Right. Quite the prediction.
Yeah, and this kind of doomsday prophecy isn't exactly new. It seems like every few years, someone predicts the end of the world.
It's definitely a recurring theme, that's for sure.
And I think it taps into this very human need to make sense of chaos and uncertainty. When we're faced with complex global issues, it's natural to look for answers, even if they come from unconventional sources.
Okay, from the end of the world to Edward Snowden.
Oh, wow. Okay, shifting gears there.
Big time. So remember, Snowden leaked all those NSA documents?
Yeah, of course. Living in Russia, right.
Yep. And then out of the blue, he posts these cryptic tweets. One just says, "It's time," and the other is a jumble of letters and numbers.
It's time, huh? That's certainly ominous. What do you think he meant by that?
Nobody knows for sure. Then, poof, the tweets are deleted. Gone.
Oh, even more mysterious. Was he about to release more classified information? Was it a coded message to someone? Or maybe a sign he was in danger? It's like a real-life spy thriller.
You know, you're right. It does have that vibe to it.
It definitely makes you wonder. And it plays into our fascination with secrets and conspiracies.
Okay, let's go from the world of espionage to the cosmos, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Secure Team shows this footage of a comet crashing into the sun.
Oh, wow. That's got to be spectacular.
It is. And they say it was moving at over 1.3 million miles per hour before it just vaporized.
That's incredible. A cosmic kamikaze. It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? Our little problems here on Earth seem pretty insignificant compared to that.
Right. I mean, talk about a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of the sun, NASA is planning this mission to, like, practically hug it.
Oh, you mean the Solar Probe Plus? Yeah, that's a pretty ambitious mission. They're sending a spacecraft to orbit the sun, getting closer and closer with each pass. It'll eventually dip into the sun's outer atmosphere, the corona.
And that's, like, super hot, right?
Oh, yeah, incredibly hot. The spacecraft is designed to withstand some seriously extreme temperatures and radiation. It's a technological marvel, really.
It's crazy.
Mm.
But Secure Team doesn't seem too thrilled about this mission. They call it a waste of money, especially compared to missions searching for alien life.
Yeah, that's a debate that's been going on for a while now, the priorities of space exploration. Do we focus on understanding our own solar system, or do we search for life beyond Earth?
It's a tough question. They both seem pretty important, don't they?
They do. I think it comes down to what captures our imagination more. Are we looking for answers at home, or are we reaching out to see if anyone else is out there? Both are pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
Absolutely. Okay, before we jump into some of the visuals that your team presents. Okay, so we've talked about Mars, a psychic YouTuber, Edward Snowden's Twitter mystery, and a comet having a really bad day. What's grabbed your attention so far?
It's interesting how all these topics, as different as they seem, kind of tie back to this human fascination with the unknown.
Yeah, like we're all drawn to mysteries, whether it's aliens, unexplained events, or even secrets hidden within our own government.
Right, exactly. It's like this deep-seated need to understand the things we don't know.
Okay, so let's delve into some of those visual secure team presents. First up, there's this photo of a portal-like beam of light over England.
Oh, I remember those images. Very striking.
Yeah, like a giant spotlight shooting straight up into the sky. What could even cause something like that?
Honestly, it's hard to say without more context. Could be an atmospheric phenomenon, maybe some weird trick of the light, or who knows, something else entirely.
And they compare it to similar occurrences reported around the world, right?
Yeah, and that's where things get interesting. If it's happening in multiple places, it suggests maybe a global phenomenon. But again, without more evidence, it's all just speculation.
Next up, those hole punch clouds. Perfectly circular gaps in the clouds. Secure Team suggests something big must have passed through them, maybe something invisible.
Ah, yes. The invisible cloud punchers.
Right. It's tempting to imagine a fleet of UFOs doing donuts in the sky.
I mean, who doesn't love a good UFO story? But often there are more down-to-earth explanations.
So no alien joyrides.
Probably not. Meteorologists often attribute those hole punch clouds to things like downdrafts or temperature inversions, pretty normal weather stuff.
So nature can be just as strange as any sci-fi movie, huh?
Absolutely.
But of course, we can't talk about the unexplained without mentioning UFO sightings. Secure Team has footage of a fast-moving object over Hayward, California, plus some quick clips from England and a cigar-shaped thing near the sun.
Classic UFO imagery right there.
Have you ever seen anything like that? Any personal UFO encounters?
Can't say I have, unfortunately. But UFO sightings are fascinating. They tap into our hopes and fears about the unknown, right?
It's that what-if factor.
Mm.
That maybe, just maybe, we're not alone.
Exactly. And while many sightings can be explained as misidentified aircraft or weather balloons, there are some that remain unexplained, and those are the ones that keep us looking up.
Right. It's those unexplained ones that keep the mystery alive. Before we move on, let's talk about that Minnesota footage. A viewer sent Secure Team this video of glowing objects over a cornfield.
Oh yeah, the glowing cornfield UFOs. Always a classic.
It really seems like the viewer was genuinely freaked out.
Yeah.
Like a real encounter with the unknown.
And I think that's an important point to remember. For people who experience these things, they're not just stories. They're real events that can be pretty unsettling.
Okay, let's switch gears to something a little closer to home. Those mysterious booms in California.
Oh, the booms. Those are interesting.
Unexplained sounds all over the state, especially in the South. Police, scientists, nobody seems to know what's causing them.
Right. And that lack of explanation is what makes it so eerie, right? When we're faced with something we don't understand, especially when it sounds kind of dangerous, our imaginations go into overdrive.
Makes sense. Secure Team even plays an audio recording from a viewer, and it honestly sounds like bombs going off. What do you think about those sounds?
It's unsettling, for sure. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, that need to make sense of things. We're wired for storytelling, so if there's a gap in our understanding, we'll fill it in.
Even if it means coming up with explanations that might not be entirely accurate.
Right. And in today's world, with information overload, rumors, and facts all mixed together, it can be really hard to tell what's true and what's not.
So how do we navigate this world of the unexplained? How do we balance curiosity with, critical thinking?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It feels like we're all amateur detectives, trying to piece together a puzzle with missing pieces.
I like that analogy. And I think the key is being a discerning consumer of information, questioning our assumptions, considering different perspectives, being open to the possibility that we might be wrong.
So as we head into the final part of this deep dive, what are some of the key takeaways you'd like our listeners to consider?
That's a good question. Well, first, I think it's just amazing how diverse these unexplained phenomena are. From potential aliens to weird weather and strange sounds, it shows that our understanding of the world, while always growing, is far from complete.
So there's still a lot out there we don't know.
Oh, absolutely. And that can be both exciting and a little bit scary. Another takeaway is the power of visual evidence, especially in this age of social media. Images and videos, even if they're debated, can really shape our beliefs and perceptions.
Seeing is believing, right?
Right.
Even if what we see might not be the whole picture.
Exactly. And lastly, I think this deep dive highlights the importance of approaching these topics with like a healthy balance of open-mindedness and critical thinking.
Finding that sweet spot between wonder and skepticism.
Exactly. Be willing to entertain new ideas, but stay grounded in evidence and logic. It's a delicate balance, but a crucial one.
All right, welcome back for the final part of our deep dive. It's been a wild ride through the world of the unexplained, haven't we?
It really has. We've covered everything from Mars UFOs to psychic predictions to those mysterious California booms. Makes you wonder what else might be out there, right?
It does.
Yeah.
So as we wrap things up here, what are your final thoughts on all of this? What's stuck with you?
Well, it's been a fascinating look at how we, as humans, try to grapple with the unknown. We saw how quickly we jump to conclusions, how we're wired to see patterns and make up stories even when things aren't clear.
It's like we're all natural-born storytellers, trying to make sense of a world that can feel pretty chaotic sometimes.
Exactly. And I think that's what Secure Team does so well, you know? They bring together these images, these videos, these eyewitness accounts, and they weave them into this tapestry of mystery.
Yeah, it's like they're inviting us to come along on this journey into the fringes of knowledge. The line between fact and fiction gets kind of blurry.
Oh, definitely. And while some of the things we talked about might seem, well, far-fetched, it's important to remember that our scientific understanding of the universe, it's always evolving. What seems impossible today might be textbook knowledge tomorrow.
It's true. I mean, think about how much our understanding of, well, everything has changed over the centuries. We used to think Earth was the center of the universe, right?
Right, and now we know we're just a tiny speck in a vast cosmos. Who knows what incredible discoveries are still waiting out there?
It's humbling,
Yeah.
for sure. So much we still don't know. But with each new discovery, we push those boundaries of understanding a little further.
And as we push those boundaries, we've got to hold on to a bit of skepticism, too. We saw how visual evidence can be tricky, eyewitness accounts can be unreliable, even audio recordings can be interpreted in different ways.
So how do we navigate this then, this world of the unexplained? How do we stay curious but also, think critically?
That's the big question, right? I think it's about approaching things with a discerning eye, questioning our assumptions, considering different viewpoints, remembering that just because we don't have a clear explanation, it doesn't automatically mean it's something extraordinary.
Right. It's about embracing the scientific method, looking for evidence.
Mhm.
But it's also about acknowledging what we don't know and being open to the possibility that, well, we might be wrong.
Exactly. It's that delicate dance between wonder and skepticism, embracing the unknown, but demanding evidence. And maybe, just maybe, in that space between what we know and what we don't know, we might stumble onto something truly remarkable.
So as we close out this deep dive, what's the one thing you'd want our listeners to take away from this?
I hope they walk away with a renewed sense of curiosity about the world around them, that they're willing to question what they think they know, and that they appreciate just how much we still don't know. Because even in today's world, with all the information out there, there are still mysteries to uncover, stories to tell. Who knows, maybe even some truths waiting to be discovered.
Beautifully said. And to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep sharing what you find. You never know what we might uncover together. Thanks for joining us.